Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thomas Ruse Bazar with the Poet Warriors, the Poet Warriors, back at you with another in the Writer 101 series. All right, Chupa sent off to my editor about 3 weeks ago, and I received my edited version of my manuscript back today. Opened it up, and sure enough, a lot of red marks and comments on the right side by my wonderful editor. So now what do I do? Well, with my editor's work, I am going to sit down probably over a course of about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer, and do my final edit of my manuscript before I start submitting it. It's a very important one because when I sent it off 3 weeks ago, I was working on the query letter, still working on the synopsis, still have to clean those up. And also I was thinking about certain things about the book, I wasn't working on it, but thinking about it. During the process, I took so many notes. And when I referenced those notes, I saw some, one-liners or things that kind of, popped up that I actually forgot about, meaning, in terms of dialogue or certain, how should I say, language that they would use back in 1850s, in the period, the historical period of Chupa in San Francisco, 1850s San Francisco. So as I'm going to go through and look at her edits, which most of the time I keep, like 90% of her edits, she makes some notes about certain things that I overlook, which is interesting because, she mentioned something early on in my opening pages, and I'm like, oh yeah, you see, it's these things that when you have an objective eye, and I'm going to call her, we're going to discuss specifically some of these notes, like a note like that, what that means, where she's maybe talking about, hey, give a little bit more background on these characters, even though they're supporting characters, maybe a little bit more, information about them, where I didn't do so. I just kind of launched into it and not thinking it was important to give, specific background or too much background information. So yeah, to get clarity on things like this. And so I'm going to go through and look, here's and I will show you here, let me show you right now. This is like one of the pages that she sent me right here. And as you can see, this is an edited manuscript, an example of it. And at first it's interesting because you receive it, with excitement, with anticipation, to see what your editor will do. And some of it is like, oh, some of it like, oh, I mean, you don't know. You kind of have to get used to it because it comes back, not totally reshaped, but yeah, reworked. And reworked in a way that you're not used to because, you spent with this, over, my own personal drafts and versions of it, and then send it off and then get it back, and it's like, oh, not that it was, it's not like she took what was there and worked it and cut and added, and not totally, consistent with what I wrote in the story I'm telling. And that's the whole thing. But to make certain with the final, revision that I do coming up in the next few weeks, I have to make certain of that. So it's exciting. I took a little 3-week hiatus, not really, because it was kind of swirling in my head. It's a weird place to be, I'll be honest, because I spent 2.5 years on this thing, send it off, get it back. And, you'll have to almost not reconnect, but yeah, kind of go again, kind of dive in. And this is a very deep dive because it's a final edit, important edit. Editor worked on it, getting back to me. I have to, make those choices, those final choices before the next step, which is starting to research agents, publishers, publishing houses, you name it, contests, literary contests, all of that. So yeah, there you go. Now I am going to be working on my final edit. After the editor worked on it, send it back to me, and it's an exciting time. Chupa is almost ready to go out into the world. Peace.
Tasty.